Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the 1.10 mod update. Now this is a bit of a bigger update, lots of changes, lots of cool stuff, so I'm going to try to run through it as quick as possible while showing you guys all the updated goodness. First we're going to go over the new mods. So first of all, new map. This new map is called Northwest Passage. It's got a combination of some hilly stuff, some really hilly stuff, and a few little kind of flatter areas kind of like down here. Now this is the first map that I've made for 22 that is a do-it-yourself style map. The do-it-yourself style maps are basically a map where there are no preset roads. It's just a mill yard surrounded by trees. You make your own roads, you make your own trails, you make your own landings, everything. So as you can see, like this road I've just painted in here using the construction tools. So for people who don't know, if you hit purchase on your keyboard, I'm sure lots of you guys know this, but some people actually didn't. So if you go down to somewhere, down to the three dots on the bottom here, or the three lines, sorry, you can go under construction, and then under landscaping, you can adjust the terrain. You can also paint the land. So if you click on this, you can go here, you can change the size of your brush, and you can actually paint like your own roads in the ground. And I know lots of people know that, but there's a few people that had no idea last time I was playing, so I was like, oh, hey, yeah. So yeah, like I said, you can kind of go through and you can start cutting your own roads out. We've already started kind of cutting this one section here, so yeah, you can go through, make your own little sections, clean it all out, and build your own. So yeah, this map, we'll do a little walkthrough of the map here. Again, it's just lots of crazy, weird terrains. New styles of forest too, a little bit more denser. I took a lot of time on this map going through and putting lots of details in, lots of ground foliage and brush and fun stuff like that. Again, like I said, it's got lots of crazy hilly regions, as you can see up in the back there. It's also got lots of nice little flat areas, but I was kind of going for something that you could have a little bit more of a chill logging experience on, because some of the other maps are a little more flat and boring, and this one's got a lot of little crazy ridges and a little bit more challenging kind of landscape. So I think you guys will have fun with it. There's lots to explore. It's a huge map. There's a crap ton of trees on it too. If I go check from Mapland here, after it autosaves, there we go. So this is the whole map here. See, like I said, you're just the mill area, and then you're, yeah, basically surrounded by just unlimited amounts of stuff. Now these brown areas are heavier, dense trees. I didn't do any predefined blocks or anything like that, but these, like I said, these areas are heavily treed areas, so you'll be able to find more goodies in the brown areas than anywhere else. But yeah, you guys will have fun. There's lots of areas to discover, so that'll be one thing that'll be cool with the update. So let's go over the new stuff first here. So the very first thing is the, if I can find it somewhere on the map, the 635G swing boom skidder. So now the swing boom skidder was something I had in FS19, but it was a huge request to bring it back. So here we are. The difference between the swing boom skidder and all the other skidders is that on the swing boom, as in the title, it actually swings the boom. So you can swing it all the way to your right and all the way to your left. This allows you to pick from piles, reach, grab, and then you can actually lay logs next to your machine. So let's just back it in here and go for a little tour. It does have this nice boom cam that makes life a little bit easier. So let's go in and grab this bunch. It's got a very large grapple on it, so it's pretty easy to grab some pretty big piles here. So we're gonna go in, we'll just grab a little chunk of this here. So like I said, you can get a pretty good grip on it, and you can lock it down. The locking system's been changed a little bit. It's a little bit more stable than it was before. It's not the most perfect system in the world, but it is a lot better. So again, this thing tours around just fine, but what the main thing is the ability to swing. So you can actually swing logs around and drop them down right next to you, which is super awesome. So then at least that way you don't have to move your skidder. So if you're working in kind of tighter areas, you can actually just drop them right next to your skidder, as opposed to trying to back the skidder up in weird ways and trying to make it fit in different spots. It's also easier if you back up and there's, you know, if the front area is blocked off for where it was dropped, you can always drive in kind of alongside it, reach, grab, and once you get, oops, you can see what I'm doing here. Once you get them all locked in, you can just throw it behind the skidder and then take off again, which is super handy to have. I'm just going to throw these off to the side here. Put them there. But very efficient, very easy to use, and you can lift up some crazy piles with this guy, so I think that'll be a lot of fun for people. Now, as teased in multiple areas, this one also has some extra hidden features, and that is the winch on the back. So big thanks to 50K to Modding, who gave me permission to use his winch script. So we've added that to this machine. So I know a lot of people were wanting winched materials and winch things. So basically all you gotta do is walk up to the trees, hit B as in Bravo on your keyboard, or whatever you want to set it to. You can hook up multiple trees to it. Once you're inside the skidder, if you hit B again, it'll turn on the winch. And then Z on your keyboard will actually winch it closer. If you hold down Shift, it speeds it up too. So you can bring it right up nice and close, and then you can go for a trek around the map dragging your newly winched logs. I've never tested full capacity what the max is, so I'll let you guys figure out how many logs you can take, but I know it's quite a few, and this machine is aggressively heavy, so I imagine you can get quite a few. One thing to watch out for is stumps, because if you hit stumps, sometimes the trees will go ricocheting off into La La Land. Let's see if we can hit that one. Oh, I didn't hit it. Oops, as we run over our nice short log piles that we made. But yeah, the other thing that's kind of neat, I was messing around with physics, but you can actually winch them up and still use your grapple while they're winched. So you can go in and hook them. If I can, oh, maybe I'll bring them a little closer here. There we go, good enough. Kind of on a weird here. We're on a weird hill here. My grapple's sitting weird. Okay, so one thing I found really neat, just because I'm a physics guy, if you actually winch it down, like hold Z and winch it down, it'll cinch it up against the grapple, and you'll see it actually starts lifting. It'll lift that back end up, so your logs are actually sitting like straight. So basically you're applying force from the winch against the grapple, and it lifts it up. I don't know, I just found that to be pretty neat. And then if you hit X, it releases it, so it drops back down again. But yeah, pretty neat. So yeah, that's the that is the new 635G skidder. Again, it is very very powerful. You can move some crazy stuff with it. You can also see the in-cab view. You can actually work from the in-cab view too if you want to do some first-person kind of grabs and stuff. I set the camera up fairly high so you can look out the back if you need to do your grabs. But very cool style. It's got a pretty basic little interior, but it's yeah, she's a tank. The other thing that I did is with all the skidders, including this one and the cat. Actually, we'll just tab to the cat here. So the whole system for the skidders has been redone now. They now have a better travel system. Before they were really janky and kind of bounced around a lot. So these new ones, they just travel a lot better. They have a lot of torque to them, but they're really, like, they gear down and take off a little bit slower. Also, the cat has a larger grapple on the back now too. That was a big request from a lot of people. So it's got a grapple that's almost the same size as the Tiger Cat there now, so you can pick up a lot more trees. And it can handle it no problem. But now when you go to engage like forward gear, see how it takes a little bit of a minute to take off? Same when you stop, it's got a little bit of a slowdown. It takes time now to actually like gear up, kind of like a real machine. I watched a whole bunch of skidding videos and I was kind of getting some ideas from those, but for the most part, being able to just slow down, even if you're using like mouse and keyboard, like I usually use mouse and keyboard just to drive stuff around, you'll find like if I'm just putting a little bit of effort into the W key, like it'll really slow crawl it. You can be a lot more manual with your driving. Like I said, I'm slow crawling it right now just by barely touching W and just tapping it a little bit. Before, if you held down W or whatever, it would just like take off like really fast and there was nothing you could do to slow it down, and you'd get some really janky stuff going on. So you guys will find the skidder feels a lot heavier, kind of maybe a little bit slower but heavier, and it's a really good feeling. So all the skidders definitely have a lot better gutty feel to them, like a lot heavier and guttier. So the suspension on them is a lot nicer. They can haul over some pretty crazy landscape. And They also, with them being heavier too now, or well, the heavier suspension, if you try to go up really steep inclines, just like real life, they'll kind of skip out a bit. Like if you tried to go up something this steep, I don't think it would be a problem. That's a little bit steep. We'll see if it goes. So like I said, I'm going to go real slow and then see if it kind of kicks out on me. But you'll see it gears down a bit, so it's a little bit slower. And then we'll probably spin once we get to a certain point here. Yeah, so if you get too high, just like real life, it will spin out. But just also like real life, if you take a good run at it, you'll probably get a lot further up the hill just because of the mass of the tires and the mass of the frame. So like I said, we're going a lot faster this time, so we'll probably clear it. Yeah, no problem. But if you stop your vehicle on a hill, just like real life, you're going to lose your friction on your tires, and then you'll spin out. But yeah, for the most part, you guys will have a really good time with the updated ones. They just, I don't know, way beefier. Beefier is the word I'm going to use. Okay, on to some other stuff here. So I got a big list of goodies to go over. So we did the Tiger Cat. We went over the map. The other thing that's brand new is our Pulpwood Grapple, which we're going to do a little review of here as soon as I load the truck. But the Pulpwood Grapple is basically just a very large clam grapple for unloading trucks. This was a big request from a lot of you guys because you wanted something that would unload the wood a lot faster. So this is it. This is the crazy big grapple. And we'll experiment with that here after we do the truck loading and all that good stuff. So the biggest change that's going to happen with all the maps that you guys will notice is the tree weights. So the tree weights have been drastically increased to kind of play a little bit more fun with the machines. Now, with this increase, that may mess it up for other people's mods because, I mean, the trees are extremely heavy now, so I don't know how other people's equipment are going to handle them. But for my machines, it made it very, very, very good. So now, with the trees being much heavier, they settle a lot nicer when you go to play with the actual trees themselves. So if I actually pick them up and drop them, they settle a lot nicer on the ground. They feel a little bit more sturdy than they did before, because before they kind of would flick around really easy and they'd kind of fly around. So another good example is the buncher. And while we're here, so on the buncher, the Pro Pack head is now color selectable, so you guys can change different colors. The plates on the back and the writing and the top are all black, and they stay black. That's the only color I could really find that would match up well with all the different color selections. So that stays black, but you can cycle the actual body color to whatever the base Giants colors are. So that's going to be kind of fun. It's nice to have a head that you can change colors now, because I know a lot of people want to have that feature. So like I said, with the new tree weights, them being a little bit heavier, you'll find that when you go to drop trees while you're bunching, they tend to settle a bit nicer. Like I said, they kind of like, I don't know, they're just heavier and they just land a lot nicer instead of bopping around all crazy like. Now again, the new trees are heavier, so you got to kind of, play with them nice. But you see how they kind of fall solid to the ground? They still roll and stuff, but they just fall a lot more solid to the ground as opposed to before, when they would kind of be a little bit more flicky, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term. So you can grab a whole bunch of those, and like I said, it's just, I don't know, you guys will notice the difference right away. Just the kind of more sturdiness of dropping them. It just feels a little bit more realistic. I'm sure on some terrains you guys will still get some glitchy drops and stuff, but for the most part, and again, so like trees that are big now, like that's a huge tree. You'll feel that in your machine while you're lifting it. You'll feel your machine kind of, get weighted down by it. So when you're doing these, you got to, plan your drops and stuff. But everything balances and falls really nice, and I think you guys will just have fun with it. I've been loading and unloading trucks for the last week straight, and practicing in this, and it's been really, really smooth. Very similar to real life. Well, I mean, as close as we can get with this game anyway. But yeah, so I'll just leave that because we could do that for hours. But yeah, once you guys get in the bunchers and stuff, you'll notice that new weight. The heads, everything's been recalibrated for the new weights, so it'll feel a little bit of a different experience, but just in general, everything's a lot more balanced. So what I'm going to do is, actually we can look at the processor too while we're here. Processor heads, all of the processor heads have been rebalanced, reconfigured. The feeder wheels are greatly improved now, so you can actually, do I have any piles near me here? Oh yeah, I do. Okay. One complaint I had from a lot of people was that the roller heads wouldn't pull the trees through very well. They would slip all the time. So I improved the grip strength of the rollers by like a phenomenal amount. Let's just get rid of this. Boop. As opposed to running it over and getting stuck in our tracks. So now, like I said, when you're running it, you'll find that it runs a lot smoother and stays in the grapple a lot better. I'm just going to throw that over there. So whether it's the bigger trees or the smaller trees, they tend to run a lot nicer. Again, if you have them right gripped up with those knives, sometimes they slip a little, but if you back off on the knives just even a tiny bit, it runs pretty good. So like I said, you can run it backwards, forwards. It stays in that grapple, or stays in that feeder really well now. And like I said, that was a complaint before that didn't. I think I got the wrong end of the tree here. So let's go like this. We'll just run this piece out. We don't really care. The heads have been rebalanced too to support the new tree weights. So they, oops, let's back up here a little bit. So like I said, they not only run a lot better, like I said, you can run them out a lot better than they did before, but they handle the trees a lot better too. So we'll just build a little pile here. Yeah, and like I said, all the heads have been reconfigured. Also, their swing ratios have changed a little bit, so the heads don't get locked up like they did before. So one problem that we had before was while you're swinging your head around, it would sometimes get locked in a weird position and you couldn't move it, which was super annoying. So it doesn't do that anymore. Now the heads have full, pretty much almost 360-degree spin so that they don't lock up anymore. They stay, you know, swingy while you're working, which is kind of nice. And like I said, the heads are balanced really well, and they handle the trees well. So yeah, processes are all updated, and they're just a lot smoother to work with. You guys will feel that out when you're working on them. Okay, what else we got here? The grapples themselves have all been increased for grip strength, so they grab a lot better onto logs when you're gripping them. So when you go to grab a pile of logs, they actually grip a lot harder than they did before. Some people said it was a little too soft, the grip, so that they were dropping trees quite often. So now the new ones, so a combination of the new tree weights plus the new grip on the actual grapples has improved greatly. So now you can really close it up. There you go. Yeah, and like I said, with that new tree weight, you will feel like kind of the weight of the logs while you're playing with them. It's really weird. I don't know how to describe it. It's nice though. It's like a satisfying kind of weight, just because everything kind of piles nice. You know, it just settles nice. It doesn't like flop around like before. Like I said, when you pick up that log, it actually feels like there's some decent weight to it. And before, sometimes it felt like you were picking up, you know, just fluffy pillows or something. It was kind of stupid. So yeah, this is all much better. I was just testing grapples here, so I figured, I'm like, oh, why don't we just use this for the video? And like I said, you guys will have a lot of fun with all your, especially guys who are big loadermen. If you guys are into the whole loading and doing your own kind of stuff, it's super fun. Just because you really do feel the weight of those logs. Let's pull the truck up here because I want to show you guys the Pulpwood Grapple, but we got to load it up first. And then while we're loading it, that's kind of perfect because I can show off the new grapple and weight systems more. So yeah, like I said, the grip strength is greatly improved. So you'll find when you go to grab piles, you can get quite a bit. If you do have a gap at the bottom, you still drop them just like real life. But for the most part, you'll find it grips incredibly well on the logs now, and the logs settle a lot better in the bunks. Me and Al did a full test on it in multiplayer too. So we found in multiplayer, huge improvement for multiplayer. Just in general, I just found even when he was loading with lag and that, like the regular multiplayer lag, he had a lot less troubles. Just because the trees being heavier settle a lot nicer, which is pretty sweet. Sometimes when you're doing long logs, if you get the really crazy full tree length longs, the grapples can be a little bit rougher. You can only do maybe 2-3 trees at a time. You can't do the crazy grabs. but still pretty sweet. And like I said, just loading in general feels a lot smoother. You'll notice it's just a better experience, especially like I said, guys who are the big guys on the loaderman side that like to enjoy their experience loading. I was gonna say you'll definitely have a good time doing it now. And then even if you have lower frame rates, like I'm getting some like jitters just because I'm recording this. I find the logs stay in the grapple better being heavier, even when you're getting frame rate issues, as opposed to before when you were doing it. The frame rate would cause them to kind of slide out of the grapple and slip around all over the place. And same difference, like if you're penciling and stuff like that, you know, it's the tree weights really do help with the penciling because it allows them to drop to the ground a little bit harder and straighten out. Those lighter trees that we were working with were kind of an issue. See, that's still an issue. See how these things get stuck? If anybody out there in Modland knows why that happens and knows how to fix it, please let me know, because I've never figured it out. So once in a while when you go grab a grapple, they'll just get stuck. Like one tree will get stuck to the side of it. I'm pretty sure it's just a glitch with the component system, but I've never been able to figure out why. I've tried weights, I've tried collision masks, I've tried everything, but for some odd reason that happens still, and I don't know what causes that. It's so random too. That's the thing. Like it's not like one thing can set it off. It just seems to be very random to why it's happening. So the other bonus is the trees being heavier. You can butt them up against the trailer without pushing all the other trees out of the trailer. So as you can see, the weight actually slides it in the grapple. Before, you'd push the trees and then they would push all the trees out of the bunk. Oh, it was stupid. So heavier trees are better trees. That's basically what I'm getting at by all this. Again, the trailers have all been reconfigured to handle the new weights. So the spring and the tension in the trailers settles a lot nicer. The locking straps on them, although they're never perfect, they are a lot less glitchy. So I built a system similar to the Skidders where the locking strap system actually goes to a separate component, which is this there's a long beam in here in the middle. So this big long beam in the middle is a separate component of the actual trailer. So when you build a mod, you have components, right? So you'll have the main trailer body, and that's your main component that you usually work off of. Now I found with locking straps, for whatever reason, if you try to lock the locking straps to the main component, which is the trailer, it disables all of the collisions. So I don't know if you guys, when you guys were playing, if you're ever driving down the road with one of my logging trucks, sometimes what'll happen is when you're going fast, these logs will actually slide or slip outside of the outside of the collision, like the stakes. And the reason I found was because it disables the collisions when you attach locking straps to the main component. So what I did is I designed a system where there's a separate component. So we have our main body, and then I made another piece that connects to it as a totally separate piece, and that's what the locking straps lock to. And what happens then is the collisions disable on that separate piece, but they stay live on the main piece, which allows the logs to stay in the bunks. So while we're working, now when you're driving around, the logs stay in those bunks where they're supposed to stay. They might glitch out a little bit because the locking, like they'll move around a little bit because the locking straps are not a perfect system, but now they don't slip and slide and teeter-totter outside of the bunk anymore, which they were doing before. And like I said, then you can kind of lock and unlock them however you want, and they stay within those collision guidelines that I've set without a problem. So on all the machines and all the equipment, you'll see the locking strap system has greatly improved. So you'll see a big notice on that one for sure. So what we're going to do now is take a look at the Pulpwood Grapple. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Processor heads. The power clam, I increased the size of that. I should go over that real quick. So that's not the power clam, that's the Whalen. Oh, this is the power clam. So the power clam just basically has a wider spread on the grapple just because it was kind of small before and you couldn't pick up many logs. So that's been changed. I think that's pretty much everything that's important that I've reviewed. And if there's anything else, you guys can read it in the patch notes. So this, again, Pulpwood Grapple. Everybody's big request for a larger grapple. So this guy can be attached to any of the high cab machines. Just like any attachment. Well, it can be attached to any of the machines. I would recommend a high cab. Again, it's up to you to figure out how much you can lift. I'm going to try about that much. It's a little greedy, but we'll see. There's no locking straps on this head. I'll actually go over that in a second here, but it does handle the logs pretty well. Well, it's a pretty heavy grab. I can feel my machine tilting a bit. Just a little bit there. This one does the same thing. See this what I'm talking about, how they stick? See, for whatever reason? If you close your clam and open it again, they seem to just drop, but I don't know why that happens. So locking straps. I've had a lot of people requesting locking straps for the heads. So I can't put locking straps on the heads in this game, and the reason for that is because when I do, you go to lock it, and it actually will lock trucks, it'll lock trailers, it'll lock other pieces of equipment, and then what'll happen is it freaks out and it launches the truck or the machine into the stratosphere. And I'm not even kidding. I'll demonstrate it here in just a second, just to break things. So let's grab some more out here. Again, really sturdy grapple. This thing's a blast. If you grab it off center, you can still drop them all over the ground though, so be careful with that. And again, how much you grab is up to you, but this is still way faster than unloading with any clam that I have in the game. You can try to get really cocky and pick up a whole bunk or half a bunk if you want, but your ride might go for a bit of a spin. So again, find the middle point of the weight where it kind of sits flush. If you pick it up too far to one side, they're probably going to fall out. So for instance, for people who don't know what I'm talking about, if you try to pick them up at sort of an off angle, so if I pick them up here instead, you'll see how they kind of want to go out and slide out. This is good training because in real life it's exactly the same. Clams in general, if you don't have things lined up straight and find the midpoint, they do not want to balance correctly. There you go. So again, with the new weights, it really does balance out the dangle heads a lot nicer too while you're operating. You can really feel that weight. Sell that load. So now, again, with the locking straps, why I don't put them in there is because locking straps now, with the new game, lock everything to everything. So, let's see here. So if I hit the locking straps on my grapples over there, you see how it locks down my grapple to the load? So now my grapple is stuck, and you see it's starting to freak out a little bit there because it's now locked that component to the body of the frame. So if I unlock it, then it goes, right? Now, not such a conundrum when you're locking by accident a grapple to the trailer. But when I reversed it and I put the locking straps on the grapple, if I try to lock or unlock a load while I'm swinging it onto a truck, so you'll unlock it to drop it, and then sometimes you relock it to pick something up. Well, what'll happen is it tries to suck the trailer instantly to the grapple, and then they do this frickin' crazy physics freak out, and it goes pew, and it shoots into the far depths of the map, and then you never get your machine back. And I did experimental stuff with it for a while and tried it, and oh my god, no, I can't do it. It'd take one multiplayer episode, and I would never have it back. So for anybody wondering why I don't have locking straps, I did try it, and I wanted to bring it back, but they're just so damn glitchy now that everything's lockable. And yeah, it's not a great time. So yeah, anyway, I think I'll leave it at that. If you guys have any questions or comments, just leave them below. But yeah, this update will be coming out on September 2nd, which is a Friday. I have no idea when this video is going to come out, but hopefully it'll be soon enough to give you guys a good teaser. It might be even a few days away from when the mods are coming out. So yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, have fun with the new physics. Have fun with the new machines. There's tons of new cool things coming over the next month and a bit. Lots of new machines, lots of new toys. As always, thanks to everybody for supporting and keeping things rolling. But yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.